back to your challenger. This dancer is Latricia Scabby Robe.
Hello, hello, everybody. We're back with another week here at PowWows.com. Before we get started, got a little video playing. This is a contest that PowWows.com sponsored at the 2013 Morongo Powwow in California. Men's Fancy versus Women's Fancy. While you're watching this, before we get started, let me know where you're watching from. Tonight we're going to be talking about the new show on Peacock, Rutherford Falls, and one of the stars and writers of that show. So let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what your favorite native TV show or movie is.
Latricia Scabby Robe and next dancer. Benny Pratt Jr.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to get started in just a minute, but while you're waiting, let's see, that's that Wayne. Nope, that's Kenny Pratt Jr. dancing there.
And his challenger.
Let me know where you're watching from and what your favorite native TV show or movie is.
Star Whiteout. And the next feather dancer. And the Jazzy the Port.
Hello, everybody. Hello. I'm Paul Gatter from PowWows.com. Thank you all for being here with me. Seen so many great comments already. Tonight, we're going to be talking with Jana Schmieding, who is a writer and actress on the new show from Peacock, Rutherford Falls. So I want to hear from you. Let me know what your favorite show is. I see, and people have already mentioned Smoke Signals. That's a classic. You got to love that one. Let's see, Little Big Man. Yep. Whale Rider. I haven't seen that one. Let's see what else people saying. People from all over Norway's watching. I see Manitoba. Awesome, Florida. This is great, y'all. Thank you so much. Again, you out there in Pow Wow Nation, thank you all for your support. So let me make a couple announcements before we get to the interview. Super excited for you all to get to meet Jana and see the interview we did with her. But I do want to make a couple of reminders. First of all, if you have not already, go check out our water project. You get one of these items right here. You use an app on your phone and scan it, and the company Fill It Forward will make a donation to water projects that are helping communities. Two of the projects they are funding are helping indigenous communities in the U.S. and Canada. So head over to PowWows.com/water and find out more about that project. And we as a group can really make a difference. It is something that as we get more people doing that, we will really, really raise the level of money that's being contributed there. be super awesome if we can get more of you involved. So go check that out, www.PowWows.com/water. All right, and it's easy to do. Really, there's a free app you download once you get the sticker. We even got shirts celebrating that, so you can check that out too. Let's see what else we got going on. So we also have a new contest that has started. Let me see. Let me pop that up here. And we are running a new contest to promote our t-shirts. And I'm wearing one tonight. So if you head over to www.PowWows.com/win, you can enter to win some gift cards that we're going to give away for you can do a little shopping spree on the shop. We've got some cool products. I will show you a couple here. Let's see. There we go. Here's some of our popular products. The All My Relations buffalo pattern. People are liking that shirt. We've also got that in this one. Here is a bear pattern. That is also doing really cool. There's another picture of it. The vaccinated shirts, people are really loving those. If you've gotten your vaccine, check that out. And if you haven't, go get your shots. Ready to powwow. This is one of our newest ones, Roots Run Deep. And the shape of North America there is made up of tribe names. So that's a super cool shirt. Go check that out. That's one of our newest ones. Anyways, you can go see all that and enter the contest at www.PowWows.com/win. Very easy to enter. Just scroll down right here. There's an entry form. The more ways you enter, the more chances you have to win. And enter daily for even more chances. All right. So, hello, Rita, watching from Norway. That's awesome. Constance, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, go check it out. www.PowWows.com/water. Really cool. I'm excited to be able to partner with them. Thunderheart with Val Kilmer. Yeah, love that. That's a great movie. Love that. Laredo, Texas is watching. I see some people from Minnesota. Very, very cool. Thank you all. Let's see. One other announcement I want to talk about. And that, of course, as I thank you all every week, I want to thank our Patreons. Those are the people over at www.PowWownNation.com. Sorry about that. Those are Pow Wow Nation supporters. It is the booster club of PowWows.com. And you can help there. And these people are really making a difference. We are able to do some cool things because of their contributions. We're hiring more writers. We've got some creating some more videos. And as soon as we get out to powwows, we'll be doing some more streaming too. So I want to thank our new Patreons that are helping Olivia, Jason, OU812, Gail, and Diane. And we've got longtime patrons that have been with us over a year. Sherry, Joanne, Amy, Peter, and Duncan. Thank you all, and I hope you'll consider checking that out and helping us out over at www.PowWownNation.com. All right, let's see. Can you do a shirt for Turtle Island? Of course we can, and we already have one. Let me pull it up. Let's see. Dance Me Outside, another good movie. Yes, yes. That is a good one. Toronto watching. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Trying to bring up the Turtle Island. It's hard surfing the web and talking. Dev, hello. Thanks for joining again tonight. Can't wait to see you over at Gathering next year. Let's see. I'll pull up a sticker of our Turtle Island shirt. But we have the same pattern in shirts and stickers. There you go. Pattern there. Bring up an even better picture. There's made up of all the different, well, probably about 40 different tribal names on the sticker. So you can check that out over at shop.powwows.com. So we have it in different shirts, long sleeves, and hoodies. So yes, we've got that one, and hope you like that. Go check it out. All right, so tonight I want to talk about Rutherford Falls. If you haven't seen the show, and I'll play a trailer in just a minute, it is a new show that Peacock has put out, starring Ed Helms and Jana Schmieding. And it is about a town where they're having a little bit of a historical issue. And the Rutherford family has some history in the town, and then the local tribe gets involved. There's also a casino, and the boss of the casino gets involved, and then all kinds of plot lines emerge from there. What is really cool is to see that, for me, and Jane and I talk about this in the interview, it's really cool that Peacock, NBC, has really taken and made a show out of native storylines that don't involve powwows or ceremonies or what you typically see these native storylines going. Um, and that's really really awesome. There, I think Jana said there were five native people that were in the writers' room helping write the show. Bobby Wilson from the 1491s comedy group, he's one of the writers. He's also in the show. So it's really cool to see those kind of people get involved, and they develop some stories. Go watch the show. There's only 10 episodes. We binged it in a weekend, and see some really cool. There's some good humor. There's some cool things you'll see that I think everybody out there will enjoy. One of the things Jana did, and she talks about it, she wears some beadwork from different people. So awesome show, really really cool that NBC has taken this subject and kind of explored it. So let me play you a trailer, and then we'll get to the interview.
400 years ago, my patriarchal ancestor, Lawrence Rutherford, founded our town. Anyone see the resemblance?
I definitely see it. It's in the jaw, the shoulders, the chest, and probably some other places.
Okay, thank you. I am the steward of my family's legacy that will resonate throughout history.
And you have a museum.
You're gonna get yours too.
This is a ginormous casino. But nobody wants to help my cultural center.
The only native artifacts in here are those bangs.
You seem smart. I'm guessing lots of college. Not Ivy League, but so close it drives you crazy.
Northwestern.
Nathan, I'm calling to request a response to Mayor Chisenhall's decision to move Big Larry.
I'm sorry, what? The problem is not Big Larry. It's the road.
This is the 5th time someone's crashed into that statue. It's a public safety issue.
It's history, Deirdre. You can't change history unless you have a time machine.
And you don't, because if you did, you'd go back and tell yourself not to buy that blazer.
What? I'm gonna get this town on my side.
Yes. And I'm gonna transform my cultural center.
Yes.
This town has forgotten how to honor their ancestors.
Can we focus on the problems that are actually important?
Well, Big Larry's important.
More important than the opioid crisis?
Apples and oranges, Carla.
There's something happening in that town. This is a story about stories.
Damn. The podcasting voice is very manipulative.
So much drama.
But let's leave them with
Okay,
more.
no, but I'm not done telling these people why they're wrong and stupid.
This is why it's not worth being friends with white people.
No.
Okay, so that was just a little preview of the show. Like I said, go check that out. I think you're going to really enjoy it. I mean, when's the last time you saw a show on any kind of mainstream network that actually said that's why you can't be friends with white people? I mean, those aren't jokes that you normally see. So I see some other comments. Constance, glad you like the shirt. Awesome. Thank you. All right. So like I said, Jana Schmieding, she is a Lakota actress, comedian, and writer. And she has been at this for a long time. Go check her out. She has a podcast, and she's got some YouTube videos out there, some really great comedy. And now she got pulled into this as a writer, and then was put into the starring role there with Ed Helms. So here is, Debbie. Yeah, I see your comment. Yeah, the native humor on this show is fantastic, and you got to go check it out. So here is my interview with Jana. I am super excited I'm kind of fanboying out tonight. We've got a star with us tonight. I'm so excited to have her and for her to take the time. Recently, a new show came out on Peacock, Rutherford Falls. If you haven't seen it, you got to go check it out. Kelly and I, we binge watched it all in one weekend. We squeezed it in while we were streaming Gathering of Nations Pow Wow. So in between our breaks and anytime we got a break, we were back down on the couch checking it out. So Jana Schmieding is here with us, and I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you for taking the time to be here tonight.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I am a huge follower and fan of PowWows.com, especially during the pandemic. I've been tuning in to get my watching old videos of powwows just to get my fix. That's
awesome. All right, and I got to tell you, so was kind of cool because we're watching the show and I'm like, I've got to go look up some of these people. I'd interviewed Bobby Wilson a few years ago, so I knew who he was. So I'm looking up everybody else, and a cool moment when I went to your Instagram, I was like, Kelly, she already follows me. I'm like, this is the coolest thing. It says follow back. So yeah, that was awesome. That was really cool. So, well, and so let's start there. You said you were watching some old videos, so where have you been? What powwows have you been to? What are some of your favorites? What have you kind of missed during this COVID time?
Oh my gosh. Well, where have I been? That's a great question. I grew up in Oregon, so I was a frequenter of like the Grand Ron annual powwow, the Sluts, folks hosted. I grew up in Eugene. I grew up in a small town in Canby in Clackamas County, but there was a small Native community that was like a pretty poppin', like a thriving Native community in the Eugene area because it's a college town. Yep. So the U of O had a Mother's Day powwow every year, and I think that the Native American Student Union is putting on the Mother's Day powwow remotely this year. So. We were like very much like Pacific Northwest powwow trail people. Right. I've never been to Gathering of Nations, but it's on my like life's vision board. I probably won't go as a dancer, but I would go as a viewer.
Yeah, it's one of those things you have to come to at some point. Yeah.
Yes, I can't believe I haven't been yet, but yeah, I was a young fancy shawl dancer, and very much more women's traditional now in my in my life. So yes.
Yeah, I started as a straight dancer, and people told me when I started, man, you're starting with the old man's dance. You're not supposed to start there. So, well, I mean, so I was looking at some of your old videos and some of your content out there, and you've kind of had a long journey to get to Rutherford Falls. Kind of tell us about your background and how we got here to writing for the show and for starring in it.
Well, I've always been interested in the performing arts, and I went to the University of Oregon, and I studied theater arts, and gosh, from there it sort of just snowballed into a stronger interest in being involved in comedy. So I always just found sort of my place in comedy. And when I left the University of Oregon, I moved immediately to New York City to pursue dreams of being a part of a comedy community and to sort of like fine tune my skills in comedy and become a better performer. And so yeah, I got involved with an improv comedy theater in New York City called the Magnet Theater, and sort of just started taking classes and then performing consistently, and then eventually that led to me wanting to direct comedy and coach other people, and sort of eventually got to the point where I was interested in writing professionally. The balance of my professional career in education, I was a teacher at the time, and sort of the balance had shifted, that my interest and the time and energy spent was leaning a lot more toward comedy and then my teaching career. And so I said, I have to pursue it. So I did the thing that they tell you not to do. And I quit my teaching job and I moved to Los Angeles to try and find out how to enter the film and television industry in LA. And, I'm a person who just always has like 3 or 5 different creative projects going at one time. And so I started teaching myself how to write, TV pilots, and wrote a few different TV pilots, and all of them were about sort of myself, and all of them were about Native women and centered the Native narrative. And I was having a lot of difficulty getting reception about on my writing. I just didn't necessarily feel like the industry was embracing what I was offering. And I knew from all of my lived experience that Native visibility is a real issue in media. And it got to the point where I was about to sort of throw in the towel and move back to Oregon with my parents, because I didn't really know what my next step would be. And then I met Sierra Teller Ornelas, who is the co-executive producer, co-creator of Rutherford Falls. I met her when I invited her to be a guest on my podcast.
Yeah.
And so that was sort of like our introduction to each other. And she asked if I had any writing samples, and I happened to have some writing samples to show her, and the rest is Rutherford.
That's awesome. And it's you're talking about watching things during the pandemic. It's great to me that with podcasting and streaming and everything else, we've got some great creators out there in Indian country, and some of these stories are finally getting told. And it's so, for me, it was really exciting to see Peacock embrace this. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
So you mentioned teaching. So, and improv. I mean, what was harder, teaching or standing up in front of those kids? Because that is, I couldn't imagine doing that, or improv. And what's the tougher audience there?
Teaching.
Yeah.
Come on, Paul.
What grades were you teaching?
I started in middle school, so I was teaching 7th and 8th graders, and then I moved to high school and I was teaching 9th and 10th graders. Yeah, it was hard. It was hard work, and I did it for 10 years in a very, a high need area of New York City. It was the poorest congressional school district in the United States, one of them, the South Bronx. And so, I have worked only in underfunded schools and, under-resourced schools, and with amazing kids, amazing children who have overcome incredible obstacles in their life to, go to access their own learning and their own education. And I learned so much from that experience about not only how to be a performer, but how to be a professional and how to communicate with different kinds of people. And, none of that was a waste of time for me professionally. I carry all of those experiences into my current work. And not only that, the love of teaching, but also, a real love for social justice and for equity, and making sure that not only students in New York or large urban centers, students of color have access to all of the same things that white kids have access to. But I think a lot about our own Native communities and our own Native youth, and the ways in which our youth are coming up in a time where access has been denied for them, their entire lives. And I hope that my work, whatever work that I do, is pushing doors open for them and making the world a little bit easier for them to exist in.
That's awesome. And that's something we so desperately need. I saw a video today. It was Steve Harvey, and he was talking about barriers. And, if you put a flea in a jar, it can only jump so far, even though that flea can probably jump 2 feet. And so then his kids and his descendants, they only can jump that high because we've put a barrier in their face, and they don't know that they can exceed that. So when we start removing those barriers and getting things out of the way, and we let these kids really soar, yeah, that's awesome. So thank you for all that teaching that you did. I think it's super important.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah. And so I saw a quote today and I thought this was really cool, that you said that this show for you broke a mold that wasn't even there before. As a Native person, as a woman, as a woman of size, as your podcast was called, these are all barriers that we don't see displayed in kind of mainstream media. Yeah. So can you tell us what that kind of meant to finally hit a role that incorporated all of that together?
You know, I attribute a lot of the availability of this role to Sierra. It took a Native woman to see me. It took another Native woman who understood me and understood my voice and understood my comedy to lift me up. And it speaks to sort of the power of having Native people in leadership positions, specifically in this industry. And when I said I sort of feel like I'm breaking a mold that wasn't there, it's because, you know, as Native women, I don't think we're really seeing any of us on screen to a substantial degree. And when we are portrayed on screen, we are, you know, props for a white man's conquest. You know, we are often killed off in film and TV shows. You know, we're not centered. And so I don't even think that there's a mold to be broken yet. I really don't think, and I hope that there isn't a mold. I hope that we can bring our own diversity to the screen as it is in real life. And I think that that's sort of, you know, how I feel about this experience, this entire experience, is that I'm just bringing myself to the work, and and I am the way I am. And I exist in the world the way that I exist and the way that I look, and it's extremely rewarding. But there are also just, I look to my left and to my right and I see so much Native talent around me. There is so much talent in this industry and beyond, and the fact that we are so largely untapped in all of our industries and all of our skill sets. I mean, we did our best on this show to, you know, bring in as many Native designers and musicians, and, you know, we just like wanted the world to feel like we feel in our Native world. And so, you know, we're sort of like, we did our best to try and write these characters as we live and exist now. And I think that what audiences are seeing is themselves in the work, and that's delightful, because, you know, there were 5 Native writers in the room, and so that also speaks to the importance of, in terms of television and film, how important it is that Native people have a voice on the writing side and on the producing side of projects.
Yes. So I have to wonder, though, during those early table reads and those early writing sessions, what was it like for all the Native people in the room? Or were you having to educate and get everybody up to speed on some of these Native little references and Indian humor? Because it's different, you know, it's not everybody's used to it.
Not everyone's used to it. And yeah, and they're like, I'll say that it was a delight to not have to do that as much as it would have if there were only one of us. You know, we're really used to being the only Native in a space of white people or non-Native people, and so it relies on the one person to have to explain why aunties are a thing, and, you know, what it means to, you know, sell your beadwork or not, you know, all of these very nuanced conversations. It was great because all of the Native writers, we are also a very diverse group. You know, we have just all different people from all over the nation in our writers' room and coming from different experiences. And so I think that was really helpful. And yeah, it was a delight to explain to Mike Schur and Ed Helms, like, why we should tell the joke this way, you know, or why, you know, why it's not that mean when Native people are making fun of each other. We're not like internalizing it. It's not like, you know, it's not below the belt. And it also was great because Sierra really encouraged us to not hold back, you know, to not like be afraid that we were above white people's heads. You know, she was like, no, let's just go for it. Let's put these jokes in. Native people will understand it. And this is a show for Native viewers as much as it is for non-Native viewers. So let's give jokes to us too.
Yeah, that's great. And there were some really good ones that were this, talking about snagging. There was a reference to Miss Indian World. Because that was the weekend we were streaming the Gathering of Nations. So I was texting with the organizers of Miss Indian World, like, oh my God, the show just referenced y'all. So that was really cool. And even, I know one time I turned to my wife, or my wife actually turned to me, and she's like, did they just say that when he makes a reference to that's why I'm not friends with white people? I was like, this is awesome. Those are just things you don't hear in regular TV. So it was all.
Yes.
And what's the reaction been? Have you, from fans and viewers of the show? What has been the reaction from natives and non-natives to this kind of humor and these storylines?
I think that non-natives are so excited about a new story. I think that the show has really tried to speak to the highest intelligence of our country and to our culture, and I think that people are overwhelmingly like delighted to see this new kind of narrative happening and these new kinds of jokes. I mean, as a comedy person, it's always a joy to see new kinds of jokes enter the sphere of comedy. It's like not even entering, but like for the spotlight to turn to a new kind of a joke, and I think that also as Native people, our issues are universal. I just think that we, because we don't have enough visibility and we are often not centered in our own narratives, we're not given the autonomy to really understand that, like, like these are issues that every family faces and that every human goes through in some way or another. But I do think that like the reaction that Native people are having to the show is specifically very meaningful to us and very meaningful to me. I'm getting a lot of feedback that people are like, oh my God, I'm like, this is me, or like I am Regan, or a lot of people just being like, this is how my dad was, and that kind of feedback is overwhelming, and it really changes the term fan. For me, I don't necessarily feel like I have fans, or like I want people to feel like they have ownership in this show. I want people to feel like they are a part of this world, and I think that folks do. I think folks are feeling like, wow, yeah, this totally resonates.
Yeah. And even though PowWows.com is centered, PowWows is kind of our focus in other parts exploring Native culture, but was it a conscious choice though not to set any of this in what we normally see, the powwows and the ceremonies, or the stoic, was that conscious? Because I noticed it, and for me it was refreshing.
Yes, it was conscious, because we know that the non-native lens wants to see us as culturally specific. They want to see those things, and for a long time I think we've given them that. We've showed them, like, anytime there's like an important event that is hosted by Native people, we have fancy dancers, or which is not bad. I'm not knocking it. Like, I've been a part of those things too, and like it is a great illustration of the people that we are and our beauty and our talent, but we were really focused on telling the stories of these people and keeping the world very specific to these characters, because when you build a show around human beings, around characters, and not necessarily like this is how all natives are, this is like what it looks like. I think the more specific that you can get, the further you can travel with those characters. So knock on wood, if we get a season 2, as you have seen from the show, there's so many different directions that it could go with all of the characters, Native and non-Native, and that's because we really tried to tell a story about people and not about a place or an environment or a situation.
Yeah, like I said, it was very refreshing for me, even though I do appreciate a good powwow scene. But it was cool that we're showing real authentic life. So that was really cool. All right. So, and I did see, I think I saw on Instagram today that you did some beadwork for one of your, one of the people on the show. Was that your beadwork you were doing?
I did a lot of beadwork on the show. Yeah, I wear a lot of my own beadwork on the show. I beaded the emojis that Maya brings to Regan in the museum.
Oh, that's awesome.
The Mohawk emojis. And I beaded the clouds on the poster. If you look closely on like the key art for the show, it's Nathan and Regan sitting, and then there's some clouds above there, and I beaded those clouds. And yeah, but we also brought in, you know, Jamie Okuma and Bethany Yellowtail and design. You know, I was very specific that on each episode I wanted Regan to wear a new beater's jewelry. So in every episode there is a different, I wear a lot of my own, but in every episode there's a different bead artist on her ears. So yeah, we've just made sure to celebrate our art.
It's really cool. And that's again noticeable that you were seeing some of these things, and that was one of the first things I saw when I saw the poster. Is like that's beadwork on the poster. That's totally different. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah. So you're talking about a lot of representation in the media and all that. So as you know, I've got some young people that are watching or aspiring people. You know, what are you hoping this show is going to do to open doors, and what are you telling folks that are trying to kind of follow this path? Any advice for them?
Oh gosh, there's so much to say about that. The show, I just hope that it can have many seasons. I hope that people continue to watch and talk to each other about the show. I hope that it gives you know, Native journalists an opportunity to write about the show. I hope that it gives, you know, Native podcasters an opportunity to podcast about the show. Like, I just really hope that people can find a connection to the show, Native folks specifically, and to, you know, have conversations about it, and that we get to continue to make it, because of course the more viewers appreciate the work, the more work begets work. So that means that we'll be able to employ more Native talent be in front of the camera and behind the camera. And I would say that is sort of the message that I would tell any young folks out there who are interested in working in the performing arts or in film and television, that, you know, I went into this experience with one goal, and it was to write on the show. And I didn't realize how much I would be involved on various elements of the show. And so I really feel like this industry specifically is it's hard to get here. It's really hard to get here. And you have to have like stamina and you really have to try. But once you make it to this place, there are so many different ways that you can plug into this industry. I mean, there's room for makeup artists and hair artists. There's room for designers and architects and builders, and you know, there's space for people who want to learn how to be photographers and camera operators and directors, and like acting isn't the one thing. And writers, you know, we need Native writers, we need storytellers in this industry really badly. And so I just hope that young Native folks feel encouraged to tell your story however you can tell it. I did it through comedy for many years, and then I tried podcasting, and this is just one iteration of my lifelong project of telling my own stories. And I really hope that younger Native folks can see that your stories are valuable and there is a space for them. You just kind of have to carve it out for yourself.
Yes. Love that. All right. So now going forward, we're all crossing our fingers for season 2. But until we're waiting for that, where else can we see you? What other projects do you have coming out? Anything we can you can announce yet?
Nothing I can announce yet. But I you know, if you're interested in podcast about bodies, especially specifically women's bodies and weight stigma, you can check out my podcast, Woman of Size. Of course, you can follow me on the socials. Sort of just right now doing a ton of press for the show and trying to get people to watch it. So yeah, just enjoy the content and spread the word.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for taking some time. Hopefully I'm going to see you at Gathering or some other powwow soon.
I know, I hope so.
Yeah, I hope we can all get back together to powwow soon. All right, well, thank you so much again, and good luck on the show. And like I said, I'm crossing my fingers. I'm ready for season 2.
Yes, thank you, Paul. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. I am super. So there it was, my interview with Jana Schmieding. Super cool to be able to talk to her, and again to see a show like this on Peacock. Oh, it's so great. And I love to hear your comments of some of you that have already watched it. I hope that will convince the rest of you. Go watch it. Not right now, but as soon as you're done with this show, go check it out. It's streaming on Peacock now. All right, I see some other people. Hello. Thank you. And thank you for the star donation. I really appreciate that. And looks like a friend of PowWows.com is here. Hey, Charlie. Awesome to see you. Hope all is well with you. All right, so a couple just reminders of what we've got going on. Yes, we are ready for powwows. And yeah, she was great. Can't wait to hopefully meet her in person at some point. All right, a couple of reminders of what's going on. Our contest going on right now, $150 gift card and some other gift cards, www.PowWows.com/win. So go check that out. And our Fill It Forward program, our water program where you can get your sticker. I just scanned mine, and that donates some more money to projects that are helping communities have clean water. So go check that out over at www.PowWows.com/water. Thank you all for watching tonight. I'm glad you enjoyed the interview. Look for more content like this coming soon. Thanks to you, all of you out there in Pow Wow Nation, and our patrons. You are really helping make this content possible. So thank you. We've got some cool things coming up. We're going to be celebrating a big milestone for PowWows.com really soon. We just hit another milestone, so thank you all. We hit 8,000 followers on Facebook. Thank you. You did that. So thank you. All right, everybody. I hope you all have a great night. Of course, if you haven't done it, click right now. Go head over to Peacock and watch the new show. Thanks, everybody, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Hey!